Hey everyone, today we will be talking about how the game actually works and how to play. So DBD is a game where there is two roles, killer and survivor. As killer, your job is to hook and kill all four survivors in a game. And the survivor's goal is to finish all five generators and power the exit gates and escape. When playing killer, there are certain ways to indicate a win and a loss. 3 or 4 kills equals a win, 2 kills equals a tie, and 1 kill or no kills is a loss. When getting 4 kills, people call that a 4K to make it easier, and a 4 out is when every survivor escapes. So when you hear people saying they got a 4K or a 4 out, it makes it easier to know lingo in the game. And now let's get into what perks and add-ons are. Perks provide both the killer and survivor special abilities for the trial game. You unlock perks by prestiging killers, survivors, and then unlocking those select perks for all other survivors, killers you own. When getting a new survivor or killer, you unlock perk slots by leveling them up. The max amount of perks you can have are 4 since you unlock 4 perk slots, and you can unlock all of them by getting the survivor or killer to level 15. Now, let's get into what add-ons are and how they help in the trials. Add-ons are unlockables used to enhance and modify survivor items and killer powers. Players can only equip 2 add-ons at a time, and then use every trial you have them equipped. Add-ons can stack with each other, causing both negative and positive effects. Now, time to get into something I still don't understand. People view the map itself as a clock, the middle either being whatever main is or the center of the map, and they say locations like it's 6 or 5, referring to parts of the map. I honestly don't really get it, but if you can, good for you. Now, let's get into how to actually play the game. When it comes to killer, what you want to focus on is having lots of pressure. What I mean by pressure is when a survivor is not in a gen, either healing, getting rid of a hex, or being on a hook, that's pressure. Always make sure that if you're not in chase, you're checking gens for people, because 90% of the time, unless it's a bully squad, they're gonna be on gens. What I mean by bully squad is squads of survivors whose whole goal is to bully the killer for no reason by spamming flashlights, teabagging, etc. And most of the time, bully squads don't do gens because of their own hubris, which makes it easy to kill them. But in a game like this, bully squads will always lose eventually. A good way to practice looping at both killer and survivor are 1-on-1 south. But anyway, the important thing about playing killer is mind gaming. If you win a mind game, it could turn the tables on a match entirely. A good way to learn a specific killer faster is just by playing games, really. And you find who you like, kind of like how I found Unknown. Now, let's get into the survivor side. Survivor's really easy compared to killer, because all you have to do is do gens and power the exit gates, then get out. But if you're playing with your friends, called a SWF, you can assign roles like 2 people can have gen builds and 2 people can have chase builds. What I mean by gen and chase builds are just perks and add-ons that either focus on healing, generators, or getting chased. When getting chased by the killer, there are pallets around the map, which you can stun the killer by dropping it on them, as well as windows for you to vault. But when the killer has chased you for the long without a hit, they get bloodlust, which makes them faster and easier to catch up and hit you. And sometimes when a killer is picking up a downed survivor, if you time it right, you can flashlight them, stunning the killer and making them drop the survivor. And you can also sabotage hooks, making the killer unable to use them for a certain amount of time. There is also a wiggle-off feature, where if the killer takes too long to hook you, you can wiggle off and stun them. But when it comes to playing Survivor, it is heavily team-based. Because if your team hides doing no gens, the whole game they are selling. But teammates can also sandbag, which is purposely get you or one of your teammates killed. Like when you're mid-chase and a teammate drops a pallet in front of you, stopping you from running and getting hit. Most good killers, though, go after the sandbagger instead of you. And when you're unhooked, if the killer stays too long, there is an anti-camp feature which allows you to unhook yourself. But when the exit gates are powered and you're hooked, the anti-camp goes away. There is also anti-camp features within the killer you're going up against. Like how Unknown can't place clones near hooks, gens, or pallets, and Trapper can't put a trap directly under hook. Some advice for killer now is to destroy pallets when you can. Like when you're not in chase because it depletes the map's resources, making it easier to kill the survivors. And now I'll explain tunneling and slugging. Slugging is when there is a survivor downed already, and you go for another one without hooking, but this can be countered with Unbreakable, which allows you to pick yourself up. And tunneling is when the killer goes for a survivor right after they got off hook. In my opinion, tunneling is only allowed when there is 1 to 2 gens left, and you barely have any hook stages as killer. Other than those conditions, I don't condone it. You have 2 ways to unlock new survivors or killers. One way is to use the currency you get from playing the game Iridescent Shards to get killers, survivors that cost Eri Shards. The other way is to get it with Auric Cells. Auric Cells are used to buy licensed killers, such as Ghostface, Chucky, Dracula, etc. And there are many different abilities across the killer's roster. But you have a choice to get killers that are fun to play, or get killers that have very good perks that give you a heavy advantage. An example of a killer with good perks is Plague, because she has Corrupt Intervention, which blocks the 3 farthest gens from the killer at the start for 120 seconds until the timer runs out or the killer gets it down. And an example of a killer who's fun to play is Oni, because he has very fast gameplay when he gets his speed, but he has decent perks. An example of a killer who's both fun and has a good perk is Unknown. His gameplay is fun because you can get the jump on survivors by teleporting to the clone they are getting rid of, and you can hit pretty good snipes. And Unforeseen is a really good perk in general. These examples show the difference between getting a killer for the perks or for fun. But it really doesn't matter what killer you get as long as you enjoy it. And let me tell you something now, this community is very toxic, because you will have salty survivors in endgame telling you to do bad things to yourself or call you bad at the game. Thankfully, people who are on console, like me, don't have endgame chat, but it truly is sad that like many other games, DBD has toxicity. And most of the time, you see it from survivors. A very small amount of killers are toxic. And while I'm on the topic of negative sides of DBD, I'll talk about cheaters now. Cheaters, in my opinion, are no skilled losers who have to rely on cheats because they suck at the game. Thankfully, in my entire time of playing DBD, I haven't run into one. And you're wondering, what kind of cheats are there in the game? I will tell you. Some cheats people use are teleporting, no clipping, insta-healing, and auto-completing generators. These kinds of people piss me off because if they have no skill, then they should just get better instead of resorting to cheats. But enough about hackers and cheaters. Let's talk about the happier side of DBD with funny survivors or killers. What I really mean by funny is killers or survivors with personality. Like when you do something stupid and the killer shakes their head, or they just stare at you in disappointment. There are also friendly killers who don't focus on winning, and more so focus on just having fun and being silly with survivors. Sometimes I'm a silly killer because I don't like to just sweat my ass off all the time. And if you're having a bad game, then you meet a silly survivor. It can really brighten your mood. Vice versa with killer as well. But sometimes you just want to be serious, and funny killers, survivors, are annoying. And the last topic I will talk about are streamers. When having a streamer in your game, it can be make or break, honestly. The reason why is because they could be solo queue, which is easier since they are paired up with randoms, but they can also be a SWF and make the game you're playing very challenging. And it can be a 50-50 if it's a toxic streamer, a fun one, or a normal one. And once you encounter the streamer, you can very easily tell which one it is. Let's start off with the toxic ones. Toxic streamers are very obnoxious and also very salty. You can tell when you start a chase with them and they click their flashlight, if they have one or teabag you after pallet stunning you. And if you manage to win against them, they make up multiple excuses and trash on your gameplay. Fun ones are very simple. They're the ones who crouch up and down and try to be silly because they don't take the game seriously. And you can either force them to play normally or be friendly and go along with their antics. And now, time for the final category, the normal streamers. Normal streamers just play the game and act normal, not being toxic or trying to be silly. And usually during endgame, they will critique how you play from just a small comment saying if you did good or bad. And it's up to you if you would rather take their comment to heart, whether it be positive or negative. But in my personal opinion, I like streamers aside from the toxic ones, because they can give you an audience you never usually have. And I find that pretty nice, but if I had to choose between the fun one or normal one, I'd pick the normal one, because I'd rather just play the game normally rather than be silly. I hope you guys enjoyed this video since it's a bit different than usual. But as always, hope you have a good morning, evening, night, and remember to follow. If you're on TikTok, and like and sub if you're on YouTube. I have a few videos I need to edit, so be ready for those. Goodbye.